A new initiative in Missouri aims to get more women back into the workforce.
President Biden wants to move full steam ahead with both of his spending proposals. I'm Skyler Henry in Washington, as Republicans and even some Democrats are still pausing at the price tag.
And more young people suffer the effects of the COVID-19 variant.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
A Missouri nonprofit is creating a task force to better understand issues surrounding women's participation in the workforce. This is KOIM News at 5. The organization, called United We, will host town halls throughout the state until October. The first one was scheduled to be in Joplin tomorrow, but is now virtual due to rising COVID-19 cases in the area. United We's president and CEO says they're hosting these town halls all throughout Missouri to make sure all women in the state are represented.
Once we complete the town halls, we gather the qualitative information. The task force will take that in consideration and help us formulate a report with some clear strategy on what we can do to really advance women into the workforce in the state of Missouri.
The town hall will take place virtually tomorrow, July 20th, and is open to all Missouri women. If interested, you can RSVP at unitedwe.org. The link will also be up on our website, KOIMnewsnow.com. New COVID-19 cases continue to rise in southwest Missouri as health officials continue door-to-door efforts. A reporter with the Kansas City Star recently followed community health advocates in Springfield as they went door-to-door encouraging COVID vaccinations. The advocates would tell them of an upcoming clinic, hand a door tag to the resident, and ask a handful of questions, according to the reporter. Questions included: do you want information about the clinic? Do you know someone who does? Do you have any questions about other vaccines or other clinics? The reporter says the effort they saw was non-confrontational and the officials always accepted no for an answer. Governor Parson has raised concerns about a door-to-door situation. He joined Republicans worried that the outreach could be heavy-handed. Doug Heddy joins us now with a first look at the weather. Doug.
Hey, Dow. It turned out to be a pretty good day for us today. Temperatures today not that bad. The humidity has been a little bit lower after we saw, of course, all the rain a few days ago. Still a few scattered showers and a few scattered little thunder showers kind of working from east back to west. On the Missouri side, these are very small. They're not strong by any means, but they are just kind of hit and miss, really, from Table Rock up toward Monette, Mount Vernon, and stretching up toward Stockton Lake. And some of these are going to rotate back through into, well, at least our neck of the woods over the next couple hours until we lose the heating of the day, and then we're going to be pretty much dry for several days to come. Temps right now sitting mainly low to mid 80s, so really not too bad across the region. We don't have much of a heat index. It feels a couple degrees warmer than what it actually is. Of course, we're going to look at the work week all coming up here in just a bit.
See you then. President Biden says the American economy is getting stronger every day, but he also says it could be better if Congress would pass his legislative priorities. Reporter Skyler Henry has more details from the White House.
President Biden says Congress needs to pass both his spending bills, the $1.2 trillion plan focused on traditional infrastructure, as well as the $3.5 trillion budget resolution, which includes what he calls human infrastructure.
Passage of the bipartisan infrastructure framework, which we shook hands on. And my Build Back Better plan will be a force for achieving lower prices for Americans looking ahead.
A new CBS News poll shows a majority of Americans support the bipartisan infrastructure plan being negotiated in Congress, with overwhelming support for specific elements of both bills.
This is the best strategy to create millions of jobs and lift up the middle-class families and grow wages and keep prices affordable for the long term.
The White House worked through the weekend with the bipartisan group of senators writing the infrastructure bill. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer says he wants a vote by Wednesday to begin debate on the legislation.
Start debate on what? You know, we don't have a product yet, and we won't have a product until we can finish the negotiations properly.
Republicans say they're still working to figure out how to pay for the infrastructure bill. But they add that the president's $3.5 trillion budget resolution is making things harder.
We've offered pay-fors, Republicans have, good faith pay-fors that both sides agree that are good, and we offer them and the White House takes them and says, no, we want them. We want them for our $3.5 trillion.
Democrats can pass the budget resolution without Republican support using a Senate tool known as reconciliation. But as of today, not every Democrat is on board with the proposal. Skyler Henry, CBS News, the White House.
West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin says he wants to look over the details of the $3.5 trillion budget resolution before deciding whether he'll support that plan. South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham says he may pull from the Texas Democrats' playbook and leave Washington to block a quorum if Democrats try to pass the budget resolution without GOP support. Olympic officials reported at least 10 new cases of COVID connected to the Games, including the first case among athletes in the Olympic Village. At least one major athlete has seen her Olympic hopes dashed. 17-year-old U.S. tennis star Coco Gauff announced that she tested positive for the virus and will not be able to compete in the Games, which are scheduled to begin in Tokyo Friday with the opening ceremony. The first shipment of U.S. donated vaccines has arrived in Ethiopia. This comes as that country is being ravaged by a civil war exacerbating the pandemic. Africa recorded a 43% jump in COVID-19 deaths last week. Nearly 50 African countries are to receive 25 million COVID-19 vaccine doses donated by the United States. Up next, more young people falling victim.
With the spread of the Delta variant, the risk to children is higher than ever. I'm Kirsten O'Connor in Orlando, Florida, where doctors are confronting a critical phase in the pandemic.
And later, the U.S. and allies link China to some cyber crimes. Topping today's Health Watch, new COVID-19 cases have spiked almost 70% in the U.S. over the past week, while 8 states are seeing rapidly rising infections. New CBS News poll shows that a majority of Americans are worried about the more contagious Delta variant, but it's the fully vaccinated who are more concerned than the unvaccinated. More than 4 million children have been infected with COVID-19 in the U.S. since the start of the pandemic. That's according to the American Academy of Pediatrics. And with the highly infectious Delta variant spreading across the country, doctors worry about that number continuing to climb. Kristen O'Connor has our story from Orlando, Florida.
Dr. Fatma Levent specializes in pediatric infectious diseases in Orlando, where COVID-19 cases are on the rise.
Now what we're seeing is younger children, younger adults are getting the infection and bringing it to their families.
As the powerful Delta variant sweeps the country, Dr. Levent says it's affecting children more than previous strains, and more of them are ending up in the hospital.
When they get it, it's usually mild. However, they can get hospitalized, they can get pneumonia and other complications.
In June, Katia Tejada's daughter, Caitlin, was one of those children.
I was scared. I was panicking because she said that she had a headache, she had her body, it was some pain.
The 15-year-old is unvaccinated and spent 3 days in the hospital when the infection led to pneumonia.
It was a bit scary for me. My throat hurt a lot.
Here in Florida, about 90% of seniors are vaccinated, but among children, the number is lagging far behind. Only about 30% of kids between 12 and 17 have had their shots, slightly below the national average. Mississippi's rate is just 12%, the lowest in the nation.
In this phase of the pandemic, there's really 2 life choices. It's to vaccinate or you're going to get COVID.
As a mother of 3 teenagers, Dr. Levent is taking no chances.
I really want to protect my children, and I can proudly say that all my 3 children are fully vaccinated.
Caitlin thinks she was infected at a party where people were unmasked. She's on the mend now, and the family plans to be much more cautious in the future. Kirsten O'Connor, CBS News, Orlando, Florida.
The American Academy of Pediatrics says severe COVID is still rare among children, but that more research is needed on the possible long-term effects of the virus. Researchers are finding new clues about how the immune system may impact miscarriages. Scientists at UC San Francisco discovered cells in mice that prevent the immune system from attacking the placenta or fetus. The research is at an early stage, but doctors hope it could lead to new immune therapies to prevent pregnancy loss. There are promising results for a new method of measuring the quality of life of kidney failure patients. The so-called PROPER score measures things like cognitive function, depression, fatigue, and pain. Researchers hope it will help doctors in their care and treatment of patients with poor kidney health. And that is a look at today's health news. Later, tracking down cyber criminals.
U.S. intelligence links China to recent major cyber attacks. I'm Natalie Brand with insight from an expert on cybercrime.
Plus, it looks like our temperatures are going to be heating up as we go through the week. We're going to look at that coming up.
Go places.
Well, it turned out to be a pretty good Monday for us today. Temperatures really over the past couple days haven't been that bad. We've been into the 80s. Of course, we had all the rain last Thursday night into Friday, some more thunderstorms into the weekend. But if you look at July as a whole, even though we've been mainly 80s to near 90, we've had a lot of humidity. In general, it's been pretty good. Temperatures have been hanging out just at or below our normal high for this time of the year. 83 in Nevada, 85 in Joplin, we have 84. In Neosho, Grand Lake is sitting at 85, 83 in Pittsburgh. Chanute is checking in at 87 degrees. Our humidity is not awful. It's been creeping up a little bit over the past couple days, but dew points, which measure how much moisture is in the atmosphere, mainly into the mid 60s, and it kind of sticks us in that sticky range. The humidity is really going to pop up a little bit later on this week. Right now, it looks good. 7th and range line looking off toward the north and to the west. 85 northerly winds, 5 to 10. Relative humidity is at 53%. Through the evening hours, we're going to slide back through the 80s, 70s, eventually into the 60s for overnight lows. But not a ton going on for us except southwestern parts of Missouri. We've had some very small pop-up little showers or little thunder showers really from about Stockton Lake toward Table Rock Lake. And if we zoom in, you can see these are very tiny, may sprinkle on you or rain on you briefly for a couple minutes, and that is just about it. But Stockton Lake heading south, here's Mount Vernon, so right along the I-44 corridor, and then we can stretch down a little bit more numerous once you get into Berry County, and a few of these are going to rotate through over the next couple hours until we lose the heating of the day. Then any showers out there are going to be gone, but most of the rain is staying to our south across the southern parts of the plains. Big dome of high pressure, that's really going to control our weather over the next several days. It forces any storm systems way up into Canada and then just too far east, so it keeps us kind of hot and dry as we go through most of this week. For us tonight, we'll be dropping back into the mid 60s. We are going to start the day at about 65 degrees. Northerly winds are going to be light at about 5 to 10. Maybe a notch or two warmer tomorrow compared to what we had today. It's still not awful. 81 by noon. High temp right around 86 as we head into the afternoon hours. Heat indices, upper 80s for us tomorrow. A little bit higher by the time we head into Wednesdays. We'll make it feel like it's back into the 90s for highs. But let's take a look. Let's go down the road. We have that big dome of high pressure out to our west. It's going to really control our weather all week long. So Wednesday looks good, upper 80s. Any storms stay to our north. We get near 90 by the time we headed into Thursday. Any rain mainly stays to our south. Friday heating up even more. Saturday I think we'll be well into the 90s as we head into this weekend. We may get some rain chances in here late Sunday and into Monday, but until then it's pretty quiet. 86 tomorrow, 89 Wednesday, 90 on Thursday, 92 on Friday, mid-90s over the weekend. So it does definitely feel like July with the heat and humidity later on this week.
And it hasn't felt like July.
No, I mean, it's been mainly 80s, which isn't that bad.
No, not around here for sure. Thanks, Doug. Coming up, evidence of cyber crimes from China. First, though, we recognize a local World War II veteran. Stella, Missouri native Walter Eaton served in the South Pacific with the U.S. Army. That includes duties in occupied Japan after the war, and we are proud to salute Sergeant Walter Eaton, a four-state hero. Topping Consumer Watch, stocks slid to start a new week on Wall Street around the world. Also, investors worry about an increase in coronavirus cases amid the spread of the Delta variant. Companies that stand to benefit the most from the economy reopening lost ground. United, American, and Delta Airlines all took hits. The United States and global allies today came together to call out China over widespread cybercrime. U.S. officials have announced indictments against several Chinese hackers, while separately intelligence agents say the nation may have had a hand in one of the biggest breaches in U.S. history. Natalie Brand reports from Washington.
President Biden says he's getting a full report Tuesday as U.S. intelligence officials say they have high confidence that China or China-backed hackers carried out a massive cyber attack on Microsoft's Exchange server last spring.
My understanding is that the Chinese government, not unlike the Russian government, is not doing this themselves, but are protecting those who are doing it, and maybe even accommodating them being able to do it.
Victims worldwide included schools, hospitals, cities, and pharmacies. Meanwhile, Justice Department officials in California announced indictments of 4 Chinese nationals on charges of a global hacking campaign targeting multiple entities, including U.S. government agencies. None of the suspects are currently in U.S. custody.
The reach of this criminal enterprise was massive in terms of its duration, geography, and targeted industries.
In a significant move Monday, the U.S. and allies from around the world, including the EU, Japan, and Canada, joined together to call out the Chinese government for its cyber behavior.
You see this blending of cyber criminal activity and nation-state sponsored espionage.
Cybercrimes intelligence expert Michael DeBolt says Monday's statements by the U.S. and allies send a strong signal, but he thinks more needs to be done.
I think there needs to be some tangible steps to be taken to hold people accountable and governments accountable.
When asked about punitive measures, the president said the investigation is not finished. Natalie Brand, CBS News, Washington.
China has said it firmly opposes and combats cyber attacks and cyber theft in all forms. Microsoft praised the international community's statement against China on cybercrimes today, saying they, quote, have taken an important and positive step that will contribute to our collective security. Target is bringing back its annual teacher prep event. The retailer says educators can get 15% off classroom supplies and other essentials through July 31st. But make sure you get everything you want in one haul because the discount can be applied to only one trip. To participate, teachers have to register through Target's loyalty program. Sports trading cards are more popular than ever, it seems. Collectors say the hobby picked up significantly during the pandemic. As the card market has sped up, people have been sending in their cards, trying to get them professionally graded. Most aren't worth much, but the rare finds can bring big payouts. A one-of-a-kind card of Los Angeles Angels outfielder Mike Trout that sold for nearly $4 million last year. How to get out of the workout. A recent OnePoll survey reveals the top excuses for skipping the gym. The classic "I'm too tired" took the top spot. Bad weather was also an out. It's raining and it's too cold were numbers 2 and 3, but some respondents were more blunt, like they're hungover and working out is just too boring. Final check of the forecast next. The CBS Evening News is next. Then on KOIM News at 6, Pitt State President Steve Scott announces he's stepping down from that position. Plus, more on the task force concerning Missouri women in the workforce and how this pandemic has affected workers with Joplin's Metro Emergency Transport System, METS. Stay with us. CBS Evening News and then KOIM News at 6. Weather not too bad at the moment. Things will be heating up.
Yeah, it's definitely going to get hot over the next few days. But right now, yeah, it's bearable. A little bit hotter tomorrow, 86 for a high. 89 by Wednesday, up to 90 on Thursday, 92 by Friday. So we do start to creep up into the 90s over the weekend. But enjoy the next couple days because it's very pleasant for the middle of July. Really can't beat it. Plus, the humidity is not too bad right now.
At the moment.
At the moment.
Enjoy it while you can, in other words. Thanks for joining us. The CBS Evening News is next. Of course, we're going to be right back here for KOAM News at 6. We'll see you then. Let's make it a great evening.